what we want to do is introduce our moderator first, Rep. Davis. So Rep. Davis is a 17-year rep for the district out here in the Southland. He's very respected, and he's been a wonderful servant and steward of this community. What you're going to hear this afternoon, you're going to hear some words from our candidates. I just ask that you keep an open mind and listen, and escape the noise that you might hear, but listen to the messages, because these people are running to represent us in this community, and we really want to hear what they have to say, and what their platforms are, and how they're going to serve us in Dolton. So I will allow Rep. Davis to start the forum this afternoon, but I first want to introduce my committee, because I didn't do this by myself. It took all of you, because you guys came out to the meetings that we hosted, but to plan this event, Kiana Belcher, Trustee Jason House, who always asks us, what can I do? What do you need? And I appreciate you so much for doing that, because he got the space for us. So I thank you so much for that. But without further ado, Rep. Will Davis.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, we're waiting on some mics for the candidates so that we can hear all of their, you have the opportunity to hear all of their answers. So, and also maybe put a little time, let me just say thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to be here. As you know, I am one of 3 state elected officials that represent the village of Dolton. My colleague Thaddeus Jones represents one part of the village, and then our Senator Napoleon Harris represents the entire village as senator. When we do things like this, it's about information and understanding. I can applaud not only Sandra Wells and the concerned citizens of Dolton, but anywhere across the Southland where these types of events are taking place. We hope that people are coming because they want to know what the folks who are interested in representing their interests would like to do about the variety of issues and things that are happening in their respective communities. I am a lifelong South Suburban resident, grew up in Harvey, I now live in Homewood, and I'm a very proud South Suburban resident. And I am pleased when citizens, regular folks in our communities take the opportunity to do things like this, but more importantly, the fact that you are willing to give up part of your Saturday morning and afternoon to come hear what these individuals have to say, that too is extremely, extremely important. So the objective here is to hear them talk about what they're going to do with regard to this community. Our objective here is not for, how can I say it? You know, when you're asked a question, we hope that you answer the question. There's no need for personal anything here. These folks just want to hear about you relative to their community. That's what's important here. So we hope that we don't have, you know, this is not a debate. This is simply a forum. You'll be asked a question, and then you'll be given a period of time to answer that question. And we don't, questions that are given to me kind of fall into 3 different categories. So I'm going to kind of bounce around. Now, because we have so many of you here, the reality is that any of you can answer. I'm gonna, you know, we wanted to say only certain members, but instead of being able to pull names out of a hat, if anybody wants to answer a question, you can answer the question. Please just raise your hand. We'll walk down the road, whatever the case may be. We'll give everybody an opportunity to answer any question that's asked. But again, try to keep your answers. That being said, I'm going to start here on my immediate left, and we'll walk down. We ask that you come and give a 1-minute introduction. Basically, we want to know your name, maybe how long you lived in the community. Again, that would be, you know, to keep it succinct, because we want to get to the questions. But you have 1 minute to introduce yourself to these few folks over here. So we'll start here to my immediate left, and that would be Trustee Muhammad.
Trustee Dwayne Muhammad. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
I can come to the
Oh, yes, okay. 20-year resident of the village of Dolton, retired from NBC TV as a technical director. Mentoring young people most of my life, including my children. In love with Dolton. I hear a lot of negative, and I noticed the representative said a lover of the Southland. I am too. I came to the South suburbs because I wanted to be in an area for a lower tax base where I can pay lower taxes. But to my surprise, I heard some chuckles on that. To my surprise, I wound up paying more taxes here in the Southland than I did in the city of Chicago. I pay around $5,000 in property taxes per year. But that being said, that was one of the catalysts that got me involved in the political nature here, to see what change I can make. Because oftentimes when you see a bill, you kind of curse, you kind of scream, you pull out your hair. And I said, you know, I need to get involved. And in getting involved, you try to see what changes you can make, whether it be for your taxes, whether it's for your neighbor. And one of the good things that I've noticed being a trustee, I live on a corner property, and people know where I live, and they come to my house. And I welcome them coming to my house, asking questions, and I love when I have the answers. Again, I'm grateful to be here, and I thank this forum. I wish we had these forums. I've been here 20 years, like I said. And I was talking to a trustee who's been here 30 plus years. Never had a forum, a legitimate forum that we can come and express our viewpoints to you so that you can make an objective decision. And again, I thank you all for coming.
Trustee Pearson, I'm a 34-year resident of the village. I moved here September 15th of 1984. I didn't get involved in politics early in my life. I was one of those guys who made a beeline to work, came home, went right in the house. And somebody knocked on my door when a guy named Riley Rogers was running for mayor, and they asked me one question: are you happy with what you see in this community? And I said, no, when I moved here, this community, I chose it over Orland. I actually looked at two places, Orland and Dolton, and I felt Dolton had a more family feel, and this is where I chose to bring my children up. My children went through the school system here in the community. They all graduated from Thornridge, and I started to get involved in politics because I wanted to make a difference. I didn't know that I would ever be a trustee, but what happened was I was appointed to a seat, and then I got reelected because I wanted to make a change. And what I would like to do over the next 4 years is to bring that change to fruition. I would like to make this place what it used to be, with stores and restaurants. And thank you guys for coming out.
Good evening. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come before you. I'm an 18-year resident for the village of Dolton. I've been involved in politics all my adult life, ever since I was 23 years of age. I'm a servant for the people. And I was part of the Young Democrats of the 34th Ward and the 9th Ward. In order to do this job, you have to have a love for people. I moved out to Dolton because we had a unique situation at that particular time. You had a senator / first black mayor of the village of Dolton. So I moved myself out here along with my husband, who's deceased, and he was a Chicago educator, and I'm a retired Cook County sheriff. That was quick. I want to say that I have been working hard in this village as a precinct captain or as a youth commissioner for the youth board, and I will continue to work whether or not I'm in office or out of office, because in order to do this, you have to have a love for people. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today? My name is Edward Steve. I was a media director for the village of Dolton. I handle the communications of the village, and I'm a young married man. My family should be here shortly. I have 2 girls that I'm raising here, and that's a little bit about me. I'm 40 years old. I'm progressive, I'm young, I'm energetic, and I'm friendly.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Good morning. To God be the glory. Amen. I'm Kevin Bowens. I'm 41 years old. I am a Cook County Sheriff's Police Officer. I've been a resident of Dolton for the past 6 years. I never thought I would enter into politics, but the direction of where our village is going, I could no longer take a side seat. In order to win or lose a game, you must first be in the game. So therefore, I inserted myself into this game because I know I can make a change. I'm a man of God, a man of integrity, a man of dedication and loyalty. as your trustee, I will promise you to expose anything that is not correct, because that's my job as a minister. I'm a licensed minister. We have to do things the godly way, and in order to do that, you have to be the godly person you say you are. Faith without works is dead.
Good afternoon. Thanks to the committee for forming this. It's very necessary for the residents to come out and hear what their leaders have to say. My name is Alfred A.J. Burse. I'm 31 years old. I'm a lifelong resident of Dolton. I'm currently Chief of Staff to an Illinois State Senator. I'm very active in the community. I'm the chairman of the Dolton Township Young Democrats. I'm a former commissioner on the Dolton Youth. The reason why I'm running, just to introduce a little bit of myself, is we need warriors for Dolton. We need champions for Dolton. Everybody else has their champions. I don't want to leave Dolton. I love Dolton. Everywhere else is better. We can make Dolton better. That's what I plan on doing if I'm chosen to be a trustee here in the village of Dolton. But like I said, I'm very active in the community, and I'll continue to be regardless of what happens because I love this village. I'm young, I'm vibrant, and I'm willing to do the job. I'm willing to get the job done because that's what's necessary. You need leaders that are accountable for you, that truly reside here and want to be here for the long run. So I thank you for the opportunity, and hopefully you learn and take from today so you can make an informed decision upcoming in the election. Thank you.
Dolton residents, I'm fed up. And I know a lot of people in this room is fed up too. Taxes last year increased by 11% by the current board. I'm embarrassed by the fact that we could not pay our water bill to the city of Chicago, and I'm tired of fighting on the board. It is time to get Dolton back on track. My name is Robert Hunt, and I want to help us get out this financial mess. How? Well, I'm a CPA with over 14 years experience, and I want to be your CPA on the trustee board. Thank you. Yeah, do I got more time? Can I speak more? Now, one thing that's very important. There is no secret to success. It is the result of hard work, preparation, and learning from your mistakes. And you know what? I learned two very important things by being a trustee on this board. One, I want to make sure I have a better connection to you, the people. Two, there should be no fighting on the board. So at the end of the very day, all I want to be is an extension of you, the people, the real power. Just a CPA that's an extension of you on the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Oh, I know that praises go up and blessings come down. So I'm looking at a lot of blessings at this time. My name is Stanley Stan Brown. I'm a 28-year resident here in the village of Dolton. I had the opportunity to move here October the 1st, 1990, with a 4-year-old daughter. I'm a married man, and October the 12th, my son was born, 11 pounds, 7 ounces. It takes me back to my son's first time able to eat some apple pie. And he did that at Baker Square. First time he ever ate apple pie, right here on Sibley Boulevard. So there's some things that has came through Dolton and went past Dolton. It's not a loss, but there's other different business that we can bring back here. It just takes me back to, I think about, I was coaching 20 years ago. I had about 15 youngsters that was 13 years old and never been inside a swimming pool before. Just so happened they built Melody. I had to buy 3 family memberships for 15 young men to go swim once a week. These young men actually played Little League Baseball for Dolton, and in 2004, that was the first time Dolton ever sent a District 6 Little League team somewhere and win. So we had 15 young men had the opportunity. Time. Thank you for the time, ladies and gentlemen. I said Stanley Stan Brown.
Good afternoon, Dolton residents. It's a pleasure to be here to speak with you today. My name is Allison Key, and I've lived in this community for 28 years. I raised 3 children here. I've been volunteered for this community for over 20 years. I never thought I would get involved in the political side because I was always the person that wanted to be involved with the community side of this community. I'm a community person. I was the Dolton Park District Booster Club president. This will be my 7th year giving away brand new coats to kids who don't have a winter coat here. And some of that money I may raise from other organizations, and I have to thank U.S. Bank because they have always supported me with finding funds to buy coats for these children. And when I didn't have enough through them, I went in my own pocket. So I'm not here because I just think this is something to do. I think it's time for us to take our community back. I remember when this was a very vibrant community, and it can be restored, but it cannot be restored without the help of you guys here who live in Dolton. We cannot do it with just government. It requires the community as well. So I hope from this point forward, since you're here today, you would also get involved with what's happening here in this town. Thank you.
So first question for our candidates is, what do you believe is the immediate need for Dolton?
Hi, everybody. I think the immediate need for Dolton is unity. That's one thing that we don't have, and it's needed to bring the community together, bring the board together along with the mayor, but we need unity so that we can start to bring infrastructure to this community, and by infrastructure I'm talking businesses. I don't know that we have space for a big box store, but we need restaurants in this community. We need stores, we need shops and boutiques. I went to Homewood the other day with Trustee, and we sat down and we looked around and we thought of all the things we want to bring to our community. And so if we bring unity, then we can always talk. But without unity, we have
What
nothing.
I think that we need in this community, first of all, Trustee Pearson hit it on the head. We need unity. Unity and leadership. Security is one of my pet peeves. We have had several murders in the last couple of months. So we need to get a curtail on our security to secure our residents and make them feel safe. I'm also interested in finance. That's another thing that we need to bring to our community other than liquor stores, slot machines, and things of that nature. Like Pearson stated that we went over to Homewood where the state rep lived. It's beautiful over there. We spent the whole summer one day over there looking at different shops and what we would like to see in our village. And I thank you, and with your help, this can be done.
One of the first things that I think we believe in this community is a sound government. Because the government is what controls this village. And we need a government that works together and not against each other. We need a government that brings the people in and get their opinions and find out what they want and what they need. We all know that we're all not going to agree, but we have to respect each other when we don't agree. So we have to get that respect back into the community, and we have to start at the top. We have to start at the top and it'll trickle down. So that's the number one thing on my platform, is to bring good government back into this town.
One of the most parts that I feel we need here is positive leadership. Leadership that doesn't mind sitting at the table with one another and respect one another's opinion. I believe a good listener would be a person that can actually articulate what they actually heard. In order to be a good speaker, you need to be a good follower. And what we're doing now, we have too many leaders sitting at the table. So what we need to do, make a change agent on ourselves. Let the leader speak, and if you're a leader, hold tight, be that change agent, and be a good follower. So we need to make sure we can listen with the intent to articulate and be understood of what we're saying.
I'm right here because my voice is loud.
Anybody else wants to?
What I think we need first and foremost is leadership with integrity. It doesn't matter how much unity you have. It doesn't matter how much inclusiveness you have. If you don't have integrity to take care of the things that you are responsible for, then guess what? All of your unity and everything goes out the door. We have to hold people accountable for what they were hired or elected to do. And those people, myself included, as a police officer, you expect me to protect and serve you when I show up and you're in a call situation, you're in a hectic situation, you're looking for the police to show up to do something, to get you out of that situation. That's what I'm going to do. Serve and protect this village with integrity, because that's what it's going to take. People that's going to take your tax dollars and do what they're supposed to do with it. Because if we had integrity, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. Thank you.
I think I'm going to echo what everyone else said. We need to have unity on the board. Because with the fighting on the board, it's getting lost some of the facts, really important things that's happening in Dolton. I mean, I'm still embarrassed about not paying that water bill. And when you go around, people saying, dang, you know City of Chicago is suing you? Now, some of us are so caught up with the fighting, we're not realizing that's going on. So what we might have to do, it might sound funny, these board members might have to meet every day. So when it is a board meeting day, there's no fighting, everyone will be on one accord and know what they need to do, because we got to start moving this village forward. We need to not just keep talking about there's fighting, because it's ignoring the fact of what's actually really going on. Too many abandoned houses out here in Dolton. Too many businesses are leaving. Businesses are leaving because we're taxing them out. If they want to come in and get a tax break, we need to help them get a tax break. We need to figure out ways to give them a tax break and still keep the tax dollars in Dolton, because the tax bill includes many different entities on that tax bill. So we can give them a tax bill, they give them a break to the other different entities, but we can make sure that Dolton keep their money. And yeah, I'm going to be selfish up there. I'm Dolton, for Dolton, all about Dolton. So when it comes to taxes, I want to make sure you, the people in here, get everything you get for your dollar.
The first thing that we need, we all say unity, we need cohesiveness, but we need to listen to the residents. We got to listen to the residents. We got to encourage the residents to actually take part in their government and actually give their input to the government, and we listen to the residents. If we don't listen to the residents, then what are we doing? If we're only doing it for ourselves, then what are we doing? We need leadership, unity, and you gotta have less ego, less arrogance, and that will help us move forward.
Mature leadership. One thing that I often witness throughout the village of Dolton is a lack of mature leadership that cares and respects the residents. In order to be a good leader, you need to know the will of who you're trying to lead. If you don't go out and ask them what do they want, what do they need, what do they require, you can't lead. No person should represent you if they don't know what they're representing. So first and foremost, we need to know the residents. But we need mature leaders that respect and care for those residents. Day in and day out is your representation. They take care of you. They determine your quality of life. Government takes care and does a lot of things that you may or may not know. But they know as your representation. So with that being said, they need to let you know what they're doing. They need to be transparent, communicate, not bicker and argue, but more so love you, because you love Dolton, you live here. So with that being said, we need mature leadership that loves the residents and loves to be here, because if not, you don't need to be here.
I agree with everybody that's here, but in communication, you have to listen more than you talk. And the fighting that goes on in the board, that's the #1 complaint with residents. And it starts with leadership. Leadership, in order to be a good leader, you gotta be a good what? Follower. And as a resident, my #1 belief is that you become an informed voter, an informed resident, to know the issues. And oftentimes you don't know the issues because you can't see of the veil of fighting. Right. But behind the issues is this, that we are in a terrible financial situation that must be resolved. And it has to come together not only with the board of trustees and the mayor and the clerk, but the residents themselves. But in order for the residents to get involved themselves, they must become an informed public, and they also must know that there's a transparency in government that you should have so that you know the actual facts as opposed to misinformation. So again, unity, communication, and true leadership with integrity, good character, and truth-telling. Thank you.
Question. What would you do as trustee, what would you do as trustee to ensure the village of Dolton is business friendly? What would you do to ensure that Dolton is business friendly?
The first thing is we need to build relationships with our business partners, inside and outside of Dolton. In order to make sure that Dolton is business friendly, we need to make it appeasing and attractive to business owners. Currently, as we're doing some things to try to work, but we can be a lot better. There are a lot of theraways, a lot of businesses, there are a lot of open, empty buildings in Dolton that we need work with. But we can't bring in new businesses that are bringing new revenue to relieve the property tax burden off of homeowners if we don't have relationships. I currently, like I said, I mentioned I serve as the chief of staff of Illinois State Senator. I've built relationships with elected officials at the local level, the county level, the state level, even the federal level, to try to bring those resources here. You need relationships, because if nobody wants to come, if people don't know that Dolton is viable, they will never come. If they don't know it's attractive, they will never come. So that's what we need. We need to build a relationship with those entities so we can bring them, but also build the ones that we have here.
If given the opportunity to come in as a trustee for the Village of Dolton, I would definitely like to come in and sit down with the leadership that's already here and what's coming in. But the main thing about when you talk about bringing business in, we need to definitely go out and get us a specialist, an economic developer. We can't, as trustees and mayor, run around talking about you're gonna bring a business here. You're not bringing a business here. We need a professional to come in. And that's one of the first things would be on the list, is to hire us a good economic developer to go out there to get the business, to know how to talk the language of bringing a business.
I just want to say that was a good point. We do. We can get businesses to come in, but if they watch a board meeting, they're going to leave right away. The first thing we got to do is stop all the petty, poisonous personal politics that we see at this board meeting. Nothing's going to happen if you got what you got going on now. Nothing's going to happen. So it starts with the cohesiveness on the board. If you're a trustee, you're a trustee. You're not in charge. If you're a mayor, you're a mayor. Everybody got to play their position right. And when you play your position, businesses will come when they see people working together. I got a chance to sit down and talk with a commercial developer, and he said main thing they want to see is a cohesive government. If they don't see a cohesive government, they're not going to come in.
To answer that question, we have to have people that doesn't have hidden agendas. See, when you have a hidden agenda, no matter what you're trying to bring in, if your agenda don't include what the village, the citizens want, then we all automatically can see that it's all about you. We have to make sure that whatever business that we attract, it's businesses that the residents want to see in their village, and not something that, you know, I might know a few people over here, a few people over there, and want to get, you know, some perks. No, it's about everybody. And if you have a hidden agenda, that hidden agenda needs to be about the people. And when you're listening to the trustees, listen to see if they are in connection with what you want as the citizen.
You have to have good leadership. Because if your leader cannot communicate with the other individuals that was elected, there's a problem there. Because this is about all of us and not some of us. And even to talk with the Chamber of Commerce and see what their input is about bringing good businesses into our community. And we are residents that have been here for a long time. So we have a stake in our community. And my thing of it is, this is about what we would like to see, what the residents would like to see, and to beautify our community. And that would also attract new businesses to come in. If your community looks horrifying, then no one wants to come here. So I thank you.
I'm in agreement with having an economic development person and help us, a professional. Also having rules and laws in place. I remember when I was here the first 4 years of my term, we got rid of the Dusties over there. Had over 100,000 in back taxes. But we think smart, did smart business, was able to wipe the back taxes off, and we got now it's a Taco Bell there. Now it's another business right there that's just a vacant land right there. So what we need to do is just figure out ordinances. I have some, but I won't give you my tips, but we can have ordinances that help, that give businesses incentives to come out here. And that's what we can do. But we did the first 4 years, we knocked down that dust. That dust was there, then back taxes kept growing and growing and growing, and you know what? We knocked the back taxes off, and now it's a Taco Bell there. And if I get back in there, we can do the other things like that.
It still gets back to what I mentioned a minute ago, is unity. Now, we would have to clean up our community. It's not attractive. The streets are filthy. We have murders going on in our community, and we have a board that fights. If you had unity, that means you're all working together. And if you're working together for the good of this community, you can change anything that you want. Instead of fighting, we need to be talking about bringing business into this community And I mean, you're gonna always fight, but fight in the back. Fight so that the residents don't see it. I love this community. I know that 7 people working together can make a difference, make the change, and be positive. But we do have to listen to the residents. But the first thing we need to do is clean up our own act and clean up this.
We have a Chamber of Commerce here. We have about 50 businesses that have signed on the Chamber of Commerce. But yet we have about 300 businesses in the village of Dolton. First thing we need to do is get our Chamber of Commerce involved so they can get the businesses involved. Making them more business friendly, that means that we got to go to every business, talk to the businesses and let them know that we not only shop Dolton, we invest in Dolton. Many of those businesses that are here, they bank in Tinley Park. They don't bank at US Bank. They don't bank at the MB Bank. So as part of a government, and you even as a resident can go in and say, hey, where do you bank at? And you will find that many of those business owners are banking outside of our community. So we have to come together, like the trustee said, in unity. And I gave applause to one of the trustees that talked about economic development. You got to have someone professional enough in economic development, because a trustee got to admit, if you don't know business or have a business acumen, hire a professional that can bring business in and become business friendly.
So
Thank you.
please, I respectfully ask that as they are talking, I know you may be in agreement with what they said, but if you start clapping while they're talking, somebody can't hear the remainder of what they're being said. So again, we appreciate that. There'll be plenty of time for high fives and all that stuff at the end. So if we can just focus on that, that would be great. Thank you very much. If you feel that crime is a challenge in Dolton, what steps would you take?
I know y'all saw me get up first, because I'm in law enforcement. That's what I do. One of the things, a program that I want to implement is called Secure Your Block. And what that is the entire block have cameras put on it in various places, but the cost will be incurred by the entire block, that block. Front and back, it will cover. Here's one thing as a police officer I know for a fact. You can never stop crime. But you can do things to implement things to help deter crime. And by doing this, with this program, it will give police, meaning us, a way to pinpoint who the perpetrators are, what direction they was traveling, what time this occurred. See, a lot of times the police don't have any information because people don't want to talk. Residents that see something don't want to say something because, again, protect and serve has just become a slogan. We got to actually protect and serve those people that are willing to help us solve crime.
I want to get, with the direction of the board, I want to help get Sibley under control. I think there's a lot of speeding going down Sibley. One thing that I learned that when you have control, when they know there's police presence on major streets that run through Dolton, that deters people from coming in and committing crime. So we want Sibley, everyone know when you go down Chicago Road, and then when you go into the park, you slow down. We want them to feel that same way. When you're coming through Dolton, coming off the expressway, slow down. There's police presence there. We should be able to now get to the point when people go down Sibley, you start seeing police cars pulling people over. Because everyone's speeding. I sped once down the street. So everyone's down there speeding. So we need to be able to get that under control. If you see police officers pulling people over on the side of Sibley, other people are going to see that. Criminals are going to see that. They're going to know Dolton has police officers around and they're making sure. So we need to have those police officers definitely on the major street, that's the first deterrent. Then we need to have a strong community, block by block. We have a neighborhood watch program.
As a former law enforcement officer, sometimes you have to talk to the criminals. So what I'm looking to do in my next term is to put together some young men, some young women, because it starts in the home. It also trickles down to the schools. So you have to talk to your young people, because sometimes they just be looking for love and they don't get it at home. So therefore they join gangs and that lead into drugs. And you have to do something in order to curtail that type of action with young people. If you also, you need to talk to your block club members and start block clubs and have them to talk to their children. So therefore, crime is never going to stop, but you have to start it in the homes and with the schools. Thank you.
We need to fully staff our police department. We need to make sure that they're out here doing their jobs. We need to make sure they're not given these special instructions to do other things that has nothing to do with monitoring our streets. And I'm going to give you an example of that. 2 years ago, I was the campaign manager for Stanley Brown when he ran for mayor. And I believe because I was working on his campaign, I had police officers showing up in front of my house every night when I came in. And I'm like, okay, what is this about? Because I know I haven't committed a crime, so why are they here? And they would sit there and stare at me. So one day I just walked up to them with my camera and they left. So let's not have officers doing extracurricular things. Let's let them work on these streets to stop the crime, because I'm not a
First
criminal.
and foremost, with the opportunity to get into the leadership as a trustee again, I say I would definitely love to sit down with the leadership that will be there, the other trustees along with the mayor, and let's sit down and let's let our chief and our deputy do their job, because they're getting too many hands in what they do. I would like to give the opportunity to the Chief Collins as well as the deputy to actually do their job, sit down and see what they need, make sure they are staffed up. And we need to up our personnel, our detectives. With bypassing our detectives get that undercover work done. Police officers patrol the area. We have to get up to our detectives so they can do their jobs, because they know who's out here, what are they doing. They know the snitches, they know the little outhouses and where to go. So we need to let the Chief Collins do his job and not let others come in out here and bypass what he's supposed to do, because they're getting special privileges to come out here and police our village. We're paying for our police officers here, so we need to let them do that. So definitely I would like to get in there and sit with the police chief so we can do what we need.
Any issue that requires local parties, there needs to be coming together. Yes, we need to make sure that our police is fully staffed. Yes, we need to bring in those resources to make sure that that happens. But also, as elected officials, we need to encourage the residents to be encouraged. A lot of times, the police officers, your leadership, fire, they're only as good as what they know, the information they have. A lot of times, residents, they see things, but they're not encouraged to say things. But more so, there needs to be a relationship that's developed between the community and police, so they are encouraged to say things. Because we only have a certain amount of officers on the street, but we have an abundance of residents that care about this village. And if we can get individuals that also have a relationship with the police, we need officer-friendly back in the schools. I know when I was in school, we had officers that came in and said hello, greeted the students. We need those individuals back, but we need to also bring the resources to have those, because I know currently we don't. But we need to build a relationship so we can bring those resources here to the village.
First and foremost, I think we need, for sure, to hire more police officers. But we have a community policing meeting called Project Connect that a lot of residents don't know about or don't come to. So us as elected officials have to get our own individual phones. Tiffany Henry, you got to go live from one of them to invite residents to come to the community policing meeting. Chief Robert Collins wanted to do community policing on each individual block. We were going to do it too. We just couldn't find one. But do a block, you have your neighbors come out, you set up the speaker, and you ask the residents what type of concerns they have. So it's up to the residents to get involved in your block and your neighborhood, and that would improve safety on top of more.
All I want to say is it's not rocket science. You have to start with the finances of the community first, because we need a lot of police officers. I sit with Chief Collins on a regular basis, and he could use about 32 more police officers. But the only way that's going to happen is if we get our finances together. Secondly, we need a gang task force. We have a lot of gang activity going on in the community. When you see these murders going on and things happening in this community, you need a gang task force that's going to be out there in the streets, and as Trustee Stubbs said, talking to these gang members. If you don't know them intimately, you can't control them. It also goes back to the court system. We need to be in that court system and see what happens. I would love to see more police in court. We can't get them in court the way they need to be because of the shortness of police officers on the streets. But if we could get them in court and have them to handle these cases with these judges and make sure they're found guilty.
If you feel, question is, if you feel that crime is a challenge in Dolton, how would you address it?
Thank you. The most politically correct answer is what everybody else has said. More police, more police. But you got to have police that are trained also. If you got a police department, they have to constantly come under training. How many times have you gone online and saw how police mistreat teenagers and such? But I'm going to tell you something that I tell everybody when we have these monthly police meetings. We got more eyes and ears on the street than we have in the Dolton Police Department. That old saying about see something, say something is absolutely true. Because most of the crimes that are solved in villages, municipalities, cities, and towns is by us getting involved. I had a home burglary about maybe 10 years ago. I was at the gym in the afternoon, someone broke in my house. Come in the house, call the Dolton police, they got there quickly. My neighbor on the corner saw the young men hanging out in front of the street. The police officer said, "Why didn't you call the police?" I don't know, he just shrugged his shoulders. But if the resident gets more involved, that will help eliminate some of the crimes such as burglaries, home invasions, breaking in cars and the like.
All right, moving on to the next question. If elected, what 3 steps would you take to put your town on a firmer financial footing?
First, to have a plan. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but I'm not sure of the vision for Dolton as it currently is stated by current elected officials. We need a vision. There's no way you can survive without a vision. You need a plan in action. You need something that can be implemented. That's not only vetted by the elected officials, but by the residents. You need to engage the residents in this plan because it's their plan also. They have to live with it day in, day out. Secondly, with that plan, you actually have to implement it. You can't just write something on paper and then just let it sit and collect dust. You need elected officials that are active and engaged and actually say, this is what I plan on doing, but also doing it.
13 seconds.
And third, we need to build those relationships to make sure the resources can come into the village. Because in that plan, you have an objective to get resources and build relationships. So we need to build those relationships that can come in and bring the resources that we surely need here.
First thing, we have to expose where the issue came from. Why are we in this situation? So what we have to do is go back and research those books and find out where the problem went. Because if you don't know where the problem is or where it started, it don't matter how many plans or anything you do, you don't know, you can't fix it. So you first have to expose and find the issue. Then you plan, and once you plan, you have to get everybody that's involved, meaning find out who the community is. We got people in this community that can do some of the things that we pay a ton of money for outside resources to do. When we can pool our own community for work and things that need to be done that will save us some costs because it benefits us all to help our village.
First, I believe we should look for other sources other than our tax dollars to balance our budget. Because currently, when our budget is overspent, they look to us to balance it. And we cannot continue to balance our budget. We cannot afford to continue to balance our budget. We are taxing each other. We are taxing people out of their homes. The worst thing about wasteful spending is when you wasteful spending in the village of Dolton, when you run out of other people's money.
The first thing that I would do when I get reelected is going to be, I'm going to go and knock on the mayor's door and say, I don't want to fight anymore. We have to move this community forward. And if we can move this community forward and stop the fighting in that boardroom, the business will come on its own. But we need to take, one of the trustees said, Chamber of Congress. That's one of the first things we need to do. So after I knock on that mayor's door to make sure we never fight out there in that boardroom again. And I didn't say never disagree, but never fight out in that boardroom again, is we need to get the Chamber of Commerce involved and let people watching these board meetings say they finally got it together. They are not fighting anymore. They're trying to move this community forward.
I'm actually keep this pretty short. You asked for three steps. We need to bring one thing. It's like balance your budget at your house. You need to make more money. So I think we need to bring more businesses into Dolton, bring in those revenue. Then we got to stay within our budget. Very important. And then we got to get a better understanding of our cash flow. We should have found out that we weren't paying the city of Chicago by the newspaper. The board should let you know. Everybody should let you know. The mayor should have made an announcement, you know what, we're stopping making our water bill payments. One of the trustees should have said, it's got to be a group effort, but we need to have a better control of our cash flow, know what's coming out, and we should have found out by Chicago Tribune what's going on with the Village of Dolton. The communication, and that's what I want to represent.
First thing I would do, I think it's important that government works together. I got a chance to talk to the owner of Casper Group, who's doing our finances right now. He said he's seen villages in this condition before. He said they can come out of it. Village of Dolton can come out of it if the elected officials work together. He said there's always political motivations to anything that you do, and it's never come out of it. So cohesiveness, we got to look at other funding sources, grant money. There's a lot of other resources that we can pull on to get this village in better financial conditions, but it starts with the cohesiveness of the elected officials. Oh, one more thing. I think history is best qualified to award you recess. History shows that certain members are not going to work with the mayor. So we can talk about, oh, I'm gonna knock on the mayor's door and say I'm gonna work with him, but history shows.
For my 15 seconds come around, I want to say this. We had stated this is what we talked about earlier, unity. And then this young man come up here and make this comment. Okay. So excuse me, I'm gonna answer the question. What would I do? And the first thing we attempted to do last year was to get lighting for our community, to light up our whole town. And that was shot down, unfortunately, because ComEd had a grant for $271,000, and that would help us put us back on track with that lighting so we can see and beautify our community. Second of all, I'm willing to forgive anybody like God has forgiven me, and to work with anybody that have the best interest of our community. So that's a thing also that I would try to do. My time is up.
Steps. Number one is a balanced budget. And I just heard earlier that we got to get other sources of income or revenue. You got plenty of revenue coming into the Village of Dolton. We get about $18 million a year coming into the Village of Dolton, but you can't spend $20 million a year. So it starts, as the trustee said earlier, I think that was Mr. Hunt, who's a CPA, and I give him credit for that. You must start with a balanced budget, number one. Number two, we have a comprehensive plan for the Village of Dolton that has been sitting on the shelf, gathering dust. And if you heard this comprehensive plan, you would say, man, why haven't we implemented this? Why haven't we improved on it? And I think one of the residents is here that had a part of putting their comprehensive plan together. It might be more than one. I just know one in particular. Number three, we must have multi-year projections on what we're going to do with this village, because we're in crisis mode yearly when it comes to projecting a budget, when it comes to trying to balance this budget. Other municipalities who are more sound, they do it in 3-year projections and 5-year projections. Balanced budget, using a comprehensive plan that's been sitting on the shelf, that if you heard it, you would say, why haven't we used it? And number three, multi-year projections to improve the state of our village, our finances.
Final candidate to arrive, Ms. Brown. I'd like to give you an opportunity, I believe everyone was afforded a minute to introduce themselves. So we can allow you to introduce yourselves, and then you can join with the remainder of the questions that remain.
My name is Tammy Brown. I'm a resident of Dolton. June will be 12 years. I've been a resident of Dolton. Been coming to the meetings ever since I've been here. Don't like what's going on at the meeting, so I wanted to join in, become a candidate for a trustee. What I want to bring about is change. Change to the Village of Dolton. Used to come here years ago, had family living here years ago. Everything on Sibley. Thought you were in a new town, new place. All those things are gone. So my thing is to bring those things back to Dolton, put Dolton back on the map. With generating revenue. We say we got revenue coming in, but where's it being utilized at? We need to get jobs. Jobs for our people here. Plan to do things to get jobs back again. Bring mentorship programs. We have a lot of young people here that don't know about preparing for a job, getting a job. So those are some of the things I want to implement if I am voted in trustee of Dolton.
Our next question. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making processes here?
As a resident, I'm highly disappointed and upset by the lack of communication by our current government. If you don't know things are going on, you won't come out. You won't let your voice be heard. I know earlier was spoken about the issues that we have. We know the issues. We know the concerns. But first, what I would do is make sure the line of communication is very open and transparent. You need to make sure you know what's going on in your village in order to rectify it. If you have representation that doesn't let you know, they're not representing you. The first thing to do is open your mouth. We need leaders that open their mouth and let you know and say, hey, I got an issue. I'll let you know about it. Or when things are good, hey, we got something good going on in the village. Let you know about it. That's the first thing we do. So regardless if it's an email collection, making sure that it's on television, or regardless of what it is, phone calls, mail, it doesn't matter. But the first thing, we need to open the line of communication because it's not open right now. At the current state, we will fail, but we can rise up out of this if we start opening our mouth and talking to each other.
One of the things I notice whenever I go to a board meeting, that the citizens' address is always at the end, after everything has already been said and done. Our voice is just us saying our opinion because it doesn't make a difference because it's already implemented, whatever is going on. So that would be the first thing that I would change. Let's make the citizens' address and get their input before we make any major decision that's going to affect 23,000 people. That's one of those major things that we have to do. We got to get the community involved first before we start making these decisions that's going to affect everybody and say, hey, you just got to deal with it. I don't like that. I want to be heard prior to you casting your vote for something. And that's what I would do. Let's make the citizens first before we make any decision by informing them and giving them an opportunity to express their opinion.
Well, one good thing is I work with youth and seniors throughout the year, so I'm not a seasonal individual. I don't do things just because it's election time and it's voting time. I do this for a reason. The reason is to have individuals involved. So I'm fortunate enough, I do manage the senior lawn care service for seniors, and I work with youth in and out. So this program actually was able to bring seniors and youth together. I've been in the opportunity position to put seniors back to work. At this time, I have about 4 seniors working. They work 2-3 hours a day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because we have some very vibrant seniors that's out here that want to work along with the youth. So that's a program that I will be taking with me into the village, and I'm pretty sure it can get even better because that'll put me on a more high platform to keep the seniors and the youth working.
It's very important to have a connection with the residents when we're making votes. And right now, that's my pledge to the people in this room. Is that when I make my votes a yes or no, I want to make sure that I connect to the residents and make sure they agree with the way I'm going to vote. And there's so many different ways to get out the messages. Many people in this room is here because of Facebook, a phone call, an email. So you can get the same type of message to understand what votes are coming up. You don't have to watch the TV for 5 hours, however long the meetings are, but we can reach you on election day. Why we can't reach you when it's time to vote? Why we can't reach you when it's time to get another store a liquor license? Why we can't reach you when we're about to raise the taxes? So that's what we need to do. We need to get elected officials out here that will reach you, not just on election day. Let you get involved and reach out any way possible. Facebook, telephones, emails, any way. But no, you don't have to come to the meeting every Tuesday to sit there. No, you should be able to get the message without coming to the meetings and sitting for 3 hours.
I think based off my record of what I've done, I've definitely improved communication in the village. One thing I want to do is bring the newspaper back. When we used to get that single newspaper, and I'm going door to door, people relied on that newspaper because everybody don't have cable, everybody don't have internet, and everybody don't have a smartphone. So we gotta bring that newspaper back. What we also have to do is keep going. If after you're elected, you gotta keep going door to door and meeting people and talking to people. Like, you don't know everybody in the village. You have to continue to go door to door. You can't just wait till it's time for election. I've been going door to door and I told people, I know people come around for the time to vote, but you got my word, if I get elected, that I'm going to continue to go door to door. And on my block, I said, even if I don't get elected, y'all all going to continue to see me on a regular basis. So we have to make the communication a regular thing. Now we talk to residents on a regular basis, more than the email blast, more than Channel 4. And also we got to hold maybe a quarterly town hall meeting so residents can come more than just a board meeting, that they can come and voice their concerns on a regular basis.
What we really need to do is become more structured. And by more structured, I mean we need our committee meetings planned out. Everybody should know what day the committee meeting is going to be every month for every committee. If you knew that, then you would know when you need to show up to voice your opinion on whatever's being discussed. We also need to be able to use, and that's everybody needs to be able to use the village resources. When you're having a meeting, right now it's just posted on the door of the village hall. That should be broadcast so that everybody has a chance, whether it's Channel 99, Channel 4, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on the village website. And so if we have more structured meetings, the residents, I believe, would participate in these meetings. But yes, we need to listen to the residents. And right now, that's not happening because the residents are not able to participate because they don't know. I do, however, think that this board has had more committee meetings than any board in the past.
I continue to do like I have been doing for the last 18 years. I go to resident houses, I knock on their doors, I call them up. I go to 144th in Halsted when they're playing cards. I participate down there, I talk to them. Also, I go to the Park District when they're having events there. And I talk to the residents and see what their needs are and what they would like to see. Just yesterday, Joe called me on Beachview. A lot of them have my personal number. And they call me and tell me what their issues are and what they would ask of me as a trustee to implement for them.
15 seconds.
So I will continue. We also have little blue cards that we walk around in the summertime. If you're not home, we leave it on your door to let you know that we've been there with our numbers on it. And we also attend a block club meeting.
What we need to do is to organize resident committees. We need to meet once a month, residents, so we can come up with plans or things that we need to do and be able to voice it at the meetings. At the meetings now, we can't voice what we need. There's too many other things going on. The meeting should be about what residents want and what residents need. We're paying property taxes here. We have no say-so when we go to the meeting. So we need to organize resident committees and also get back to former block clubs so that we know our neighbors and know what our neighbors want and need.
The village board meeting is not the format for the residents to be involved or concerned or where they get the information. It has to happen way before then. Someone mentioned about forming committees with residents. In forming committees with residents, it's got to be residents that know the issues. So I would suggest to have at least 2 trustees at that meeting with you. You can't have more than 2 because you violate the Open Meetings Act. And that way you can get some background on the law, you can have some knowledge about ordinances and resolutions and that type of thing. So my answer to that is you have to form committees because you need some advice, you need some consent from elected officials, and oftentimes we could bring professionals to your committee meetings. So by the time that we have the regular board meeting, it's a done deal. Board meetings are usually after the fact, as somebody just mentioned. You can't get your expression off in 3 minutes, so we need to have those committees that meet way before those regular board meetings.
On to the next question. How would you address housing challenges?
One of the main issues we have, but also one of the beautiful things we have in Dolton is our real estate and our properties. We have some of the most dilapidated homes in Dolton, but also we have some of the most fruitful real estate property, commercial property in the village and all of Cook County. We need leadership first and foremost that can go around the village and say, hey, this home shouldn't be here. Oh, hey, this home needs to be rehabbed. But also then bring those resources in, bring those organizations and agencies in that can either rehab or either knock it down. And then secondly, we need to bring in economic development and revenue. Because when you talk about housing, it's not how a house looks, but how much you're paying for the house. Property taxes. We used to have some of the highest property taxes in all of Cook County, in all of the Southland. We need businesses that can come in and provide the take off the property tax burden of the residents. But not only just because they're coming in and taking that property tax burden off, but our long-term business partners that have a vision, that share the vision that we have for the village of Dolton.
I would simply say this: we already have a plan in place that got shot down. Trustee Tiffany Henya had a great plan that can deal exactly with the issues that we're facing when it comes to our housing. Being a trustee, I would support what she already has in place because she's already done the legwork and the footwork for it. And it benefits the village, and it also benefits us as residents as well. So I wouldn't change anything, especially when we already have something in place that is cost effective and that will gain revenue for both the investor. It will create home ownership, which will bring the village, the people that purchase the homes in the village, it will give them an opportunity to have a home. And it will also bring revenue for us as a village. Thank you.
I think we should have one housing process, not 3 different ways of bringing houses back on the market. Because we all know we need to get houses back on the markets to bring in additional tax dollars. As a resident who has over 30 years of experience in housing, I believe I can work with these trustees, and if you elect me as your trustee, I would bring some ideas and plans to work with she's a trustee, Henya, to implement the plan that she's trying to institute, because I believe it's an excellent plan. We want to bring families back to Dolton. We don't want investors. We want families, because investors bring in renters, and renters don't have a vested interest in this community. We need people who is affected by the taxes when they're going up. We need people that's affected when the water bill is going up. So we need to work on one solid plan for housing, and I would love to sit, whether I'm on this board or not, I would love to work with whomever is working with housing to make sure we can get rid of some of these vacant homes.
So how many people think Dolton is the only community that have a housing issue? But you know what? Other communities have come up with solutions to solve their housing issue. So what I want to do is we get together, we figure out what the other communities did to solve their issue. Let's get a plan that actually works. So let's go around across America, ask other communities, get them together, get their plans together, and then you know what? Us board can pick out the top 3. And then again, I want to get community involvement in this. I want to bring it to you to the table. It's not what I want or what this trustee wants. It's what the community wants, what's best. So what we can do is get 3 good plans together and say these plans work in other communities and other places around the country, and we think it could work in Dolton, and then have you have a decision. Now, if you say you don't want to have a decision, that's fine. Say you want us trustees, but I definitely want to get the community involved, and that's all I'm about. I want the community to be involved because it's going to take the community to build Dolton back up.
Just like to say, there are 3 housing project programs sitting on the table. They all sound good, but I did get a chance to get a little experience with one of them, the block by block program. I believe Henry put one out there. I've been knocking on doors, talking to individuals, and what they're saying is, I want to know about that housing program because that house right there, right across the street, I want it. That house down the street, I want it. It's been about 4 or 5 individuals within this past 2 weeks that I have ran into that, and when they're being told, I don't know the houses, you get it for $1 or $1,000, whatever, they say they got money in pocket, they're ready to go. These individuals are hungry to buy up these here properties, so the best person to buy these properties are individuals that live on those blocks, because they're going to make sure the grass is cut. Whoever move in there, they're going to make sure they keep it up to snuff. So, because me, this is the first time I ever bought a home. Even when I was a kid coming up, my parents couldn't afford a house, so this is the first time I ever been in a house. So I understand the value of actually being in a house, actually coming out of projects and living in apartments.
We introduced an ordinance that would first get a database of all the houses in Dolton that have been abandoned, foreclosed, and in a tax lien or tax sale. You got to first get a hold of your inventory, number one, to know who owns that property. The problem in Dolton, of course, is that we have a renter's issue, where you have investors. We have one company that has over 200 properties that they're investors of. I don't know the company's name, but it's public history, public information. But to get a hold of that, yeah, there are a couple of programs on the table. One of them is very successful, and sometimes you got to get through misinformation to get the actual facts. It's been bandied about that we've given over 400 properties away. Not true. There are about 46 properties that the judge signed off, I believe, what was it, Tuesday? That he just, we had to sue the Village of Dolton to get these 46 homes in the hands of homeowners. Those properties have been finally released by the judge, which we had to do as trustees. So there are programs on the table, but you got to get first the database, and the 46 or so that we have will be released between this month and next month, and we'll have residents living in those homes.
We have real estate professionals who actually live in the village. You have somebody like Sandra Wells who works at NHS. We have to get expert opinions and ideas from other people who do it on what we can do. There was a program in Woodlawn called Buy Woodlawn, where they was giving out grant money to get people to buy into Woodlawn. And we need to come up with programs like that to get people, the homeowners, to buy into Dolton. But you got to get real estate professionals to actually give their opinion and their actual input on what we should do. And we come together and come up with the best idea to move.
When the market failed, they put a black eye on our community with abandoned houses. Those were very well done. No one in the last 4 years would address this until some trustees addressed the abandoned houses that was out here. When I go on a particular street and I see 2 senior citizens living next door to an abandoned house filled with raccoons, and nobody would do anything about it, along with rodents, because we don't have a rodent control. We got together, we had a housing fair. Matter of fact, Sandra Wells was part of that housing fair. She came to it. Also, Tiffany Henry, who I actually voted for Invest in Dolton. Like one of the trustees said, the judge signed off on the houses, and now they will go on, they are being rehabbed. 7 of them are being rehabbed right now for home ownership. And you have to have money to rehab a house. You just can't go out there and say, I'm going to purchase this house for $1 or $5,000 and not have money to keep that house and stay in that house. You have to be able to stay in that house and pay the taxes.
What I want to add to this whole thing is, if you have a program, and I don't care whose program it is, whether it's the program that was bought by the current board, or whether it's Trustee Hendrick's program, if you don't have a program that's going to take and have some teaching of home ownership in it, then you're going to have a community that continues to have people that barbecue on the front steps, and people that put the swimming pool in the front yard, and people that's got the card table in the front yard. You have to teach some people how to be a home owner. You have to teach them that you got to get the grass out the gutter. You have to paint your fence. Everybody don't know how to do that. I was fortunate because I had a daddy that didn't let me do nothing but that. I didn't get to go outside and play. But if you don't have a program, I mean, if your program don't teach people, and everybody don't need to know, but you need to know that they know how to be a home owner and take care of it, and not just somebody that's living there.
What we're going to do now is that we had obviously several prepared questions, but we did encourage residents who had questions to write down their questions. We had some prepared questions. We did encourage those of you in the room who had questions to write down there. I understand that these are very tough questions. Some of them are even directed towards certain members of this panel. Again, decorum, please, decorum. I was handed these questions by Sandra, so I'll start with the first one that's on the top. Question is, why are the trustees always suing Dolton? If we are short on money, where really does your allegiance stand if you are standing with us? Or if you are suing us, excuse me. Again, why are the trustees always suing Dolton? If we are short on money, where really does your allegiance stand if you are suing us? If anybody wants to answer it, they can. Same format.
You know, government works by the board making a decision. And that decision don't have to be liked. Some people won't like it. Some people think it's great. But what you do have to do is, it is the board. And when they make a decision, that needs to be carried out. And then if you don't like that at the end, you'll vote that person out that made that decision. Or if you like it, you're gonna vote them back in. But nobody should have the right to not do what the board voted in. And so if you vote for something to happen and it doesn't happen, you have no choice but to take that to court. Otherwise, what good is a board? You make a decision and you like it, and it can't get brought forward, then we wouldn't be any good. We would just be sitting there. That's why you all, and it happens across the country. When a board makes a decision, if it's not followed, you have to take that to court.
The residents, the trustees are not always suing the mayor. The way it works in the legislation, you have what's called ordinances and resolutions. When an ordinance or resolution is passed, it must be adhered to not only by you, the resident, it must be adhered to by who? The elected officials. So what is our alternative when you don't follow the regulation? Then you go behind closed doors and you say, hey, you gotta follow this because we voted on this. And if they don't do that, the next thing is the law. For example, the ordinance that was passed for us to eliminate the abandoned homes, the foreclosed properties. We even had to put an ordinance together that we can have access to the media center. Those are ordinance, which are regulations. And if a regulation is not followed, then the next step is to take it to a judicial system so that we can get justice, and that's the reason for that. Real simple. Thank you.
And I believe you have a misunderstanding about always suing the village. This lawsuit that was just implemented was not, we were suing the village, we were suing the mayor in his own personal capacity. They're looking for their attorney fees from his pocket, not the village pocket. So I think, you know, there's a little confusion with that. And like the other trustees said, we have no other recourse. If you want to adhere to our ordinance that we implemented, that was voted on, then what other recourse do we have but to sue you? That's our right. And that was directly to the mayor, and the other attorneys are asking him to pay out of his own pocket and not the village money.
Does anyone have a plan to involve our youth in the village?
Yes. As the youngest person, or youngest candidate, I understand oftentimes our youth are discounted because they're not involved. But it's a two-way street. It has to be, even though, you know, I have younger legs, you have a wiser mind. And I don't purport to know everything. I don't. A good teacher is always still a good student. And with our youth, we need to encourage them because they are our future. Not just with voting, but we need more civic engagement. We need jobs. A lot of the violence is not stemmed from because they really want to go out here and hurt somebody. It's because they say they have nothing else better to do. So we need to implement real job opportunities, but also vocational opportunities, but also civic opportunities that engage them and make them owners, give them ownership where they also live.
Yes, I do. As a martial arts instructor, I want to bring martial arts to the village of Dolton because it's a two-way forward. One, it teaches them how to defend themselves, but more importantly, it teaches them discipline of how to defend themselves. See, the problem is they don't know how to channel their anger. And when you are in martial arts, we have what we call a chi. That means you take that negative energy and you turn it into a positive outlet. See, knowing when to fight and knowing how to fight are two different things. Everybody, you can fight all you want to, but knowing how to properly do it and knowing that you don't always have to resort to violence in order to work things out. So martial arts will teach our youth discipline, and that's a program that I want to bring.
Yes, we definitely do need to get more involved with our youth. I was blessed to be a part of the 50-20 program, where we hired 50 youth at 20 hours a week. We have to come up with creative ways to fund that program and bring it back. Some of the young people that worked on that program, I still have a connection with to this day. Well, the one student, he calls me, I call him, he's into the same field I'm in. So I help him out a lot. So we have to bring jobs and bring that program back. And we also want to, we have to turn the media center into like a learning center for young people who want to get into videography, photography, and TV production. I want to do that as well.
I believe we need to form a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, where we can go out and find funding to help supplement these programs. It doesn't have to be one or two programs, it can be multiple programs. Because if you don't recognize, a lot of these kids cannot even afford to pay for the programs that are currently existing. So we need to find funding to supplement these programs. And you know, you have a mom with 5 kids. She cannot afford to pay for a program for 5 children. So through a nonprofit, those programs are free. So I think that's the first thing we need to look at is a nonprofit organization.
Yes, I think the 50-50-20 program was a good way to help get the youth jobs and get them off the street. Also get the youth involvement. We're going to have to reach out to the high schools. Thornridge High School is right here in Dolton, in the middle of Dolton. So let's work with them. They have their own youth board. Working with the youth board, showing what we do on our Dolton board. But just working together, some stuff is already established at other institutes. And all you have to do is actually reach your hand out, touch them, and connect with them and bring them over to you. Or you will actually go out to them. So that's what I do. Just try to, currently, in the high school, Thornridge got programs, organizations, work with those youth there, invite them out. Because sometimes all you got to do is knock on the door and talk to them. And if they don't answer the door, just say, you know what, at least I tried. And so that's what we need to do, try to reach out to the high school. Because I knock on doors, even though I know they're not going to vote for me, but at least I say I tried and asked for your vote.
In actuality, ladies and gentlemen, we do have all these youth programs right now as we speak. Because right now, through the Thornton Township Youth Program, I'm the manager over there, and we have at least 150 young men and women every summer for at least 6 months. So that's an every year program. At Dolton Park, we have a karate program going on. We have an excellent boxing program going on. We have a chess program going on. We have Zumba going on. We have cheerleaders going on. With the Dolton Bears going on. We have these programs out here already. These programs are up and running, ladies and gentlemen. It's just you have to just reach out and touch it because they are already there. Now, we actually sent about 4 young men and 2 young ladies to the 134 local electrical union. These youngsters are making $40 an hour now. So we're not just sitting on our hands. So these programs are up and running, and we actually put 4 more students into the plumbing program. So there's a lot of things that's going on. If somewhere or another you want to get my number, I could get you the number because the program is actually going on right now.
First of all, we can get together with our youth and we can create their own business. Whether there is art, there's money to be made in art. You also have a diesel program out here. And what we have talked about was implementing young people to teach them not only with the training that they get at the high school for diesel, but also create a business out here so that they can get involved and teach them how to fix diesel trucks on a local level with a diesel school also and a truck driving school. That's one of the things that we have been talking about for several months now in doing. Also a herbal garden. And this is inside, not outside, where you do the garden inside and teach the youth how to do that. And I just want to say this real quickly about the 50-20 program. That was a great program, but you got to make sure that you have the money to fund the program with.
Since I became trustee, I developed a program called the National Learning Committee, which is a 501c3. And There's some residents in here who are part of that. What we do and what we have done is give school supplies to children at the beginning of school. We also found out that there are many parents that cannot afford uniforms, so we have given schools in District 148 and 149 checks to pay for uniforms for those children. Now, we can't approach the children face to face, so we deal with the, not the counselors, but the persons that deal with the persons, social workers, thank you. I had a brain feel. I don't know how hard this is to talk in 1 minute. For me, this is very challenging for me, but I like it. But a 501c3 has been developed by myself, and again, it goes back to that community again, getting a committee together, because there has to be an intersection between the municipal government, 148, 149, and 205, and it's just not happening.
How important is humility in politics? Humility in politics.
As it is spoke briefly about, I don't purport to know everything. As a true elected representation of your government, you're always learning. You're always learning. The state there's a couple of agencies throughout the state that provide training to local municipal officers every year. That's one thing. But two, also going out to your neighbors, neighboring communities, and ask them how are they doing it. We obviously know we have issues, but with also communities that have had same issues that have risen above those. How do we go out and get those solutions? By asking, having an open line of communication. So humility is very important, because you can only go as far as you know. But if you act like you know everything, you won't go far. So it's very important, very, very, very important.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to answer? Please come on down, just for the expediency of time. If you know you want to answer, please come on down. Thank you. How important is humility in politics?
All right, it's very important. You never want to lose track of who has the real power. And that's why we have elections every 2 years, every 4 years, and some people get elected every 6 years, because they will bring you back down to earth. And it's just important, so always never forget who you represent, what's the cause, don't be selfish, and always keep in mind, with the people I represent, do they want this? Will this help them? And if you're unsure if it's going to help them or not, you ask them and let them know the options. Because the people out here, these darn taxpayers, they're not stupid. They know what's a good thing and what's a good plan. So if you show them their options and let them know, you can get their feedback. Don't assume what they want. Ask them what they want.
Defined as freedom from pride or arrogance, quality or state of being humble. Accepted the honor with humility, the ordeal taught for humility. To me, humility means to listen. And that's why I said in one form that you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. But sometimes in a leadership position, you need a fighter. You need a person that's going to speak truth to power. You need a person that's going to be honest, straightforward, truth-telling, one of good character, and with integrity. And with all of that being said, humility becomes a part of it. But you must have a fighter in your corner that's going to fight truth to power.
I think humility is definitely important. The greatest leaders in my life have been the humblest ones. Humblest ones, you don't make too much of yourself. You don't think too much of yourself. You can take correction. You can admit when you're wrong. A good leader can admit, say, oh, I handled that the wrong way. So humility is very important. And because of being an elected official and a leader in every facet of life, from being a husband to a manager at your job, you have to be a humble leader to lead. Period.
Being humble is important, but also the people ask you to look out for their rights. So therefore, you have to have that fire in you too, to fight for the people's rights. So I agree that being humble in yourself is very important, but you also definitely have to have that fight to fight for the rights of people, because that's where our civil rights leaders came from, fighting for our rights. Martin Luther King, he fought for our rights. And that's who I am. I'm going to fight for the rights of people. Thank
you know, that is very important that you humble yourself. But the biggest thing is you've got to be able to admit when you're wrong and listen to the other side. I listen to a lot of residents. Every time I talk to somebody, I try to listen and humble myself and make sure that I vote the way that they want me to vote. Sometimes it gets in the way when you're arguing, and that's why it comes back to unity. People threw that out right away and said, if you don't have, I mean, you could have unity, but what is it going to do? Unity is everything. And you can't have unity without being humble to people and knowing when to change a direction that you were going in. And that's one thing that I'm able to do. I can change direction and humble myself when somebody can show me a different way.
Humble. But the first thing we have to do, we have to be respectable. We have to show respect. Again, we won't agree on everything, but at the end of the day, we have to come to some kind of conclusion here, where we are all on one accord. But the key to anything, whatever you do, you gotta listen. It's not all about what you know, but I know what I know. Listen sometimes. No one knows everything.
Humility is very important. It teaches you to accept constructive criticism. And one of the things that we often see is when you are being pointed out, you don't like it. But you can tell everybody else what they do. But when it comes pointing back at you, it's a problem. Having that humility, being able to accept constructive criticism, knowing that it's there to help you grow as a person or as a trustee or whatever. That's one of those things that you have to accept. You got to know that at some point you might not did that the right way, because there are several ways to handle different things.
15 seconds.
So I believe that being humble is very important, but don't allow your humbleness to be pushed till they think that you're a pushover.
Moving on to the next question to all current trustees. I would like to know, or for them to explain why they voted for BP Capital to allow the mortgage company to buy houses for the pennies. And although the mortgage company fixes the houses, you have allowed or agreed them to keep the profits. Why isn't the financially strapped Dolton not receiving any profits? Please explain.
Can I have 2 minutes? It's a long question.
Okay, I want to answer that question. Before we introduced BP Capital and Invest in Dolton, no one came with anything. We live next door to Section 8 people that's deplorable, don't care about the property because the landlord owned it. I'm a landlord. We have other people that live next door to infested, boarded up, raccoon rats in the house. Nobody came up with the idea until we came up with it, and then all the light bulbs started coming on. We will receive monies from BP Capital. We will receive the taxes. We will receive money from water bills, permits. And also BP Capital came to me personally a long time ago, and he's willing to give back to the community. But once you rehab a house and you have to go inside of the house first and see what it needs in order to say, well, I'm gonna give the village back $25,000 off of each house, because you don't know how much it costs to rehab the house. Until it could do if you do a complete gut job, you might have the wiring, you might have the plumbing, you might need a roof, so on and so forth. So you can't give anything back, or if you give all your profit back after you done rehabbed it, you're not going to have anything. And no one came up with anything until us 4 trustees came up with BP Capital and Invest in Dolton, which is actually 2 separate programs. It's not the same. So that's why we did it, because we got tired of landlords not taking care of their property with their renters and abandoned properties out here looking like an eyesore. Thank you.
One of the problems in politics I'm learning is you gotta talk through a lot of misinformation and disinformation. I'm going to give you a name to look up, Goebbels. He was the propaganda minister of Adolf Hitler, called the big lie. They perfected it. You continue to repeat the lie until it becomes reality to many people. There's a misnomer, miseducation, and disinformation with the BP Capital program. That program has not cost the village of Dolton 1 penny. They say that we've given them over 400 and something houses. Not true. We have about 46, as I mentioned before, that will be finished rehabbing between now and the next couple of months, and we'll have families in there. Now, as far as the cash short Village of Dolton, it has to do with our budget again. It has nothing to do with the housing. As the trustee said earlier, for the last 6 years or so, I've been hearing about how other municipalities do with their housing situation, but nothing was done. And as the trustee said, we came up with a program, and in politics, if another politician disagrees with it, therefore, you have a campaign going of misinformation, like I said, and disinformation. That's why I say the informed electorate is the most important. One of the building blocks of a democracy is an informed electorate. That's why transparency is so important to me. You can go on our website, and there is the program on the website. If you go to the Invest in Dolton program, when you leave here, that you can look it up. But our next board meeting will go into detail, so you'll get more information on the Invest in Dolton program that does not cost the village 1 penny concerning the needs.
All the plans in the world will not work if you can't get along and respect each other. What will you do? Repeat that part. What will you do about the current poisonous atmosphere in the chamber?
You know, I said, I really gave an answer to that a few questions ago. When I get reelected, the first thing I said I'm going to do is go and knock on the mayor's door and say I don't want to fight anymore. We just have to stop fighting. And it has to start at the top. No matter how, I mean, everybody say, talk about what you're going to do. Well, that's all I can say is I'm not going to fight anymore, because we don't accomplish anything, and I know that people do watch the board meetings. And so at all costs, we have to be unified out there when that camera is going and residents are sitting out there watching us. And a lot of them getting up and leaving and going home because they're sick and tired of it. We just have to be unified when we present our front.
Today is all we have. Today. If you really want to stop the fighting, it can stop right now. The mayor is sitting over there. See, what we have to do is be accountable. We can say what we're going to do, but if you're currently sitting in the seat, then you can do something now, because this is the question that's being asked. When I'm elected, I won't have this problem, because I'm going to be that person that's going to make sure that whatever I do, it doesn't cause the next person to want to have that type of interaction with me. Okay. See, you can't be godly just because you're running. You have to be godly while you're running and even after you're running. I will remain the same. We can change things, but it has to start right now. Don't wait, because it can stop, because we still got time.
In order to get anything done, you need cohesiveness and cooperation. Regardless of individuals agree or disagree, you still need to respect each other. One of the things I would do, I'll echo some of the sentiments already spoken. One thing that I would do is make sure that I'm accountable to myself, first and foremost, but accountable to the residents. I can't represent if I don't know what I'm representing. I can't represent if there's nothing to represent. With that being said, I would encourage forums like this. I'm pretty sure this is the first time this has ever happened, so we need residents to come out and make their voices heard by encouraging forums like this, because trustees and mayor and clerk, they are not the bosses. You are. You elect us to do a job.
15 seconds.
So we need to encourage you to make sure that you come out and hold elected officials accountable, because these are your lives at stake, but you choose us to represent you and take care of them.
Members are as good, only as good as their leaders. So with that being said, you have to be able to lead and have your members to follow. So I'm not above apologizing for the things that I have played parts in right now, right today, because if God can forgive me for the sins that I have done in my lifetime, who am I not to forgive anybody for their sins and things that they have done? So right here, right today, I apologize, Mayor Riley, for the things that I have done wrong. And I apologize to you residents for the things that I have done wrong. And from this day forward,
15 seconds.
I'm going to humble myself and continue to be a voice for the people.
Again, we want to thank Trustee Stubbs for apologizing to the manager. But as she said today, it should start right now. It should start at the election. It should start right now, right here now. Don't have to wait till the election next week, next month. Start right now. Because again, as long as we are divided, we will not conquer anything as long as we continue to be divided.
First thing that I would do, or that I did to stop all the fighting, was run for trustee to replace the ongoing fight that's going on right now. The fight right now is very personal. Very personal. When you start talking about somebody, I'm pretty soon they're gonna say, "What's your credit score?" They're gonna say your credit is bad. I mean, it's so personal, the stuff that they bring out. So we got to stop all that. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen with personal fights. So what I will do is I get along with everybody. I think House is a great representation of a trustee because he doesn't argue, he doesn't go back and forth. He states his thing and gets off of it. You need somebody like that who's going to work with whoever's elected, whoever the elected officials will be able to work together and get along and not have personal bickering up there. That's what we see right now.
I don't think one candidate is going to say they want to get back on the board and fight. Not one candidate. So, one thing I learned, two things I learned that I learned the hard way with losing my election, that you can't go up there and fight, and I just want to be more connected to the people. But not one single person tonight is going to say they're going to get up there and fight. But you need to make sure you elect candidates that you truly believe that's not going to get up there and fight. And I promise you, and that's my pledge to you, I'm not going to fight, because there's too many important things going on in Dolton. We shouldn't spend a whole 2 hours talking about fighting. Man, let's talk about my taxes going up 11%. And I might have said a couple times, but I paid $10,000 in taxes last year, and it's hurting me. I'm mad that I go to the city of Chicago and they talking about suing us. So that's what it is. We pay the water bill and they taking it and spending on something else. So yes, we can talk about fighting for another 2 hours, but it's too many. It's a distraction. It reminds me of Trump. I don't care about the tweets that's going on. Let's not get distracted.
That's absolutely right. The answer is actually in the question.
We can't hear.
The answer is actually in the question. It has to happen before you get to the chamber of the village hall. And believe it or not, the conversations go on well before a village hall meeting. The conversations go on between trustees, and it used to go on between trustees and the mayor. This is not one of those sessions where you're beating up on the mayor or you're beating up on other trustees. It starts with communication, and believe it or not, it's as simple as a phone call with the agenda in front of you, because oftentimes you don't see the agenda until Thursday. We meet on Mondays, you may not get that agenda until Thursday, but for those of us who are putting something on the agenda, we have to just communicate more. There is no communication. And this is not to blame the current administration. It's just that if we have more communication before a board meeting, there wouldn't be so much consternation during our board meetings. Thank you.
Take my seat and say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to participate in this forum. I'm told that while we went over, started a little bit late, I guess you're the Sandman and I'm getting the hook. So with regard to ending this, once the official part of this is over, I believe there might still be refreshments here. I saw some of you eat sandwiches like all through the whole thing. But there's some refreshments here. This is the type of dialogue that needs to continue, ladies and gentlemen. It needs to continue. So hopefully you'll take the opportunity to speak to all of the candidates, share your thoughts, whatever that may be with them, even after this forum. So again, I wanted to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this time with you, and certainly wish everyone well, including the entire community of Dolton in the upcoming election. Thank you.
Davis for allowing us this opportunity to have this event. I'm Kiana Belcher, along with Sandra Wells, Jason House, and all the community residents that have been coming to our meetings. What we did is we've been having these meetings and we've been getting input because it wasn't like our voices being heard. We sent letters to every candidate letting them know this is your time to speak. This is your time. We invite you to come out. Election is February 26th. These people here are people that want to represent us. They want to be our representation, whether currently now and want to be reelected or want to come in to prove themselves to represent us. what we expect from them is to represent us inside of Dolton and outside of Dolton. So the formal part of asking questions is over. We do have time to mingle with them and network with them. If anyone has any comments, we are not badgering anyone, we are not throwing shots at anyone, but if anyone has any comments as residents in regards to us having a forum or future meeting dates, if you have put your name and information on there, we send out emails, we send out communication. So we want you to constantly be involved, not just at election time. We've tried this several times, it always failed, but now we see that people are seeing that it's a bigger problem than what it has been portrayed to be. So please thank them for coming out on a Saturday when they could have been knocking on doors to give us their time to let us know what their allow them closing statements for them each to have their 1 minute to close out, and then you guys can mingle and network with them as you please. Trustee Muhammad.
I want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank you for being concerned citizens. And again, my whole thing is become an informed electorate. You must know the candidates and you must know the truth. I heard the term noise was used before. You got to get past the noise and hear what's happening. You got to get past the argument and see what the argument is about. The argument is not among the trustees. When you have a vote of majority, there are times that I've disagreed with every board member that's been up here that I can think of. You would never know about it because it's behind closed doors, it's on the phone, or whatever. But my biggest thank you from here is that your interest and your concern. Somebody talked about going door to door. We've been going door to door for the last 4 years, sitting at your kitchens in the living room. And we've been hearing what you have to say. You come to my house at 15443 Minerva and tell me some of your concerns.
15 seconds.
And I'm going to say this. Vote 1, 4, and 5 for Pearson, Stubbs, and Muhammad for experience, to get us over this hump, to get us to a balanced budget, and to use the money that we get in to use the available resources that we already have. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I also want to thank everybody for coming out. I love this village. I love this village. I've been here 34 years and I've seen it change. When I came here, Sibley was just flourishing with businesses. And downtown Dolton, I bet it's not too many people that remember we had 2 pet stores downtown in Dolton. We had a movie theater, we had grocery stores, and we had 4 grocery stores at one time. But my thing is to see this community come back to where it's just a beautiful place to live. When I moved here, I slept in my backyard the first week in a lawn chair because it was so quiet and peaceful. And you didn't hear the loud music, you didn't hear gunshots. I would like to bring that back, but we're gonna have to work as a unified board. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank, first of all, the committee for having us out. And this is a very good forum. I hope we can do this again. I look forward in the next 4 years is, first of all, to making sure that our community is safe, beautifying our committee, working with whomever is on the board, and hope that everybody have the same interest at heart. And that's to see what's the best possible thing that we could do for the village of Dolton and don't have any motives behind it. I would like to see flower shops, tea shops. I would like to see other businesses come in here, restaurants, sit down, restaurants that don't close at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is what I'm looking forward to with my investment in Dolton. Thank you.
You might be the last one.
First of all, I would like to thank the concerned citizens of Dolton for putting this together, inviting me out. Also, I want to give a big thanks to my wife and my daughter right there because I'm going out door to door and I'm busy, but she's at home with my child. And it's a blessing when I go home and my child is well taken care of. I love this village. And I've grown to love it even more. When you own a house here and it's your home, this is our village. The pride you get about being a homeowner is the same pride I have as being a Village Dolton resident. So I want to serve this community. I want to help it move forward because I want to be at the ground when I see this village move forward and become the village that it's supposed to be. So I want to be that person, to be part of the leadership to move the village forward. Thank you.
First and foremost, I want to thank God. I want to thank God for this opportunity. I want to thank the concerned citizens of Dolton. And I also want to thank my wife, who has always been a great supporter. My wife right there, Tanya, I love you. Because it's very important. Family is very important when you got the support of your spouse. Because my dreams are always not hers, but if I'm elected trustee, that means she's elected too. And to not have her support would be difficult to do the job. I just want to say to everybody in this village, it will be a privilege to have the opportunity to serve you.
15 seconds.
If you want something different, you have to do something.
Concerned citizens of Dolton coming out and hosting this forum because it's very necessary and vital. Elected officials need you, but also, well, we need you to demand more. As I said earlier, you are the true leaders of this village. Elected officials are chosen by you. So we need more of this. In order to be great listeners, great leaders are effective because of great listeners. If you don't know the will of the people, you cannot lead the people. So with that being said, is there anything else you guys want to say to us right now? Because you're going to choose 3 individuals to get on this board, but we need to hear more from you. I'm done talking. I've talked enough. I need to listen. Thank you.
Yes, I want to be part of the team that gets Dolton back on track. I definitely want to represent the people that have the power. If you have any questions about my platform, I had the same number for the last 10 years. You can reach me at 708-238-4857. Probably see my leadership in your door, but definitely like your support. Just really got touched on everything. So I'm going to say, be short. Just election is February 26th. It's going to be a low turnout. We got 16,500 registered voters here in Dolton. About 2,000 or maybe 3,000 people come out, and that's sad. Up in Evanston, about 50% come out. So about 8,000 come out. But here in Dolton, it's going to be 3,000. So if you don't vote for me, I want you to vote for me. My number is number 3. But if you don't vote, just go out and vote. Tell you never go out and vote because it's important. And then you can't complain about the community if you ain't going down and vote.
Absolutely.
Can't say it.
It was an honor to be a part of this here board up here. I like this board. Can we make a board of these meetings? Because I'm pretty sure we can do something if we put this here board together. But I just like to say, you know, the high morale, better the spirit of working together and accomplish our goals. With them things being said, it can happen, ladies and gentlemen. And I just ask at this time, punch number 2, because I want to work for you.
I want to say thank you to the concerned citizens because I feel like this group is the beginning of a new era for us. I believe this group is the beginning of people coming back out of their doors saying, I'm tired of what's going on right now, and be a part of something that's positive and know what's happening in your community. I think this group will cause us to form other groups that will take control of this village and not just wait for the elected officials to make all the decisions. So I just hope that Dolton residents here and people who may be watching on this video, please come out and be a part of the changes happening in Dolton.
Thanks for the invite, and I am a member for the concerned citizens of Dolton. New face, new change. That's what I want to bring about. Punch 10, Tammy Brown.
All right, I did fail to recognize our technical person, Carrie, who has been doing all of our Facebook and behind the scenes work. So please give her a round of applause. This is your time now to communicate and network with these people that are trying to earn your vote. And enjoy yourself if there's any more refreshments over there. You're welcome to them. Have a good day.